Right. Jy moes by oefening 10 gedoen het. If you look at the function fx equals x squared minus 4, then at A they ask you to write the coordinates of the y-intercept. Onthou dan gaan maak ek dit vir x 0. So dan gaan jou y afsnit wees waar x 0 is en y minus 4 is. At B, determine the coordinates of the x-intercept. Okay, dan doen ons net nog stelde. As ek x afsnit soek, dan maak ek vir y gelyk aan 0, né? So if I make y equal to 0, it means I've first got to factorize that side. So x minus 2, x plus 2, which means that x will be positive 2 and negative 2. En onthou, gaan skryf dit in coördinaatvorm, né? They want the coordinates. So if you were to stop over here, you're not going to get your marks because the question specifically said, bepaal die coördinate van die x afsnitte. Okay, kan ek skip? Hands up, we're still copying. Okay, quick. Waar is jy? Ek dink jy kan open. Okay, kan ek maar gou skip? Hoe ver is jy? Is jy klaar? Okay. Right, dan by het ek C gedoen. O, ekskuus. C het hulle vir jou gevra. Hierso sê ek vir jou, C is die sketsie, né? Nee? So we already determined the turning point, or at least the y-intercept and the x-intercept. Now remember, when you go draw it, this was a positive graph, and hy was fx is gelyk aan x kwadraat. So positive meaning it's going to be smiley face, né? En dan al wat jy doen is connect your dots and make sure that it's a smiley face instead of a sad face. Okay, dan by D. Sê hulle vir jou bereken die draaipunt. Now remember the turning point, die draaipunt is ook jou y-afsnit, né? Turning point and y-intercept is the same thing. So that's why we've got 0 and minus 4. By nummer 2 vra hulle vir jou die maximum waarde. Now remember I did that example 5 with you guys, né? Now when we need the maximum or the minimum value, we go look for the value at the turning point, né? Want as dit 'n positiewe grafiek is, dan is hierdie punt waar die draaipunt is, mos die laagste wat hy kan gaan, né? Nee. If it's a negative graph, then the turning point here is the highest that it can go. Okay, so that's why we talk about minimum and maximum. So in this case, they're asking for the maximum value, but it's actually a minimum value because it's at the bottom, né? En dit gaan wees minus 4. Okay, dan by 3 vra hulle vir jou die definisieversameling en die waardeversameling. Now at domain, we talk about x values and that has to be all the x values because we don't know where those arms stop. No. Okay, so x is an element of real numbers, or you could have written x is an element of negative infinity up until positive infinity. Then the next one Okay, dan die waardeversameling, the range, we talk about the y values. And now yeah, we've got to be very careful. We've got to look at the graph en dan van die draaipunt af binne toe. So meaning, if it's a positive graph, I go from the turning point upwards. If it's a negative graph, I go from turning point downwards. That's what I mean when I say into the graph or inwards. Nee. Okay, so in hierdie geval nee, wag, is ek nou by die verkeerde ene, sorry. Ja, waardeversameling. Okay, so dit was by minus 4 en het was 'n positiewe grafiek. So hier. So as daai minus 4 is, enigiets van daar af op boontoe. Met ander woorde, it must be greater than negative 4. Okay, and you'll see that I also said greater than and equal. Want by die draaipunt self is hy mos gelyk aan minus 4, né? Okay, so any questions there? Right, then at 4, they asked me for the axis of symmetry. Nou, jy hoef net, dankie, jy hoef net vir my te geskryf het x is gelyk aan 0, right? But just to explain quickly, we said that the axis of symmetry would be that line that cuts it exactly in half. Nee, nou so ver, of het nou 'n positief of 'n negatiewe grafiek is, the y-axis is going to cut my graph exactly in half. Nee, so whatever is on the left-hand side, it looks like it's a reflection of that exact same thing on the right-hand side. Nee. Okay, so my y-as is my as van symmetry, but you can't write y-axis. Jy moet vir my die vergelyking gee. So jy gaan 'n punt kry vir x is gelyk aan 0, want oral op my y-as is x mos 0. Nee. Any questions there? Right, then 5, you guys might have struggled with a bit. At 5 it says, die waardes van x waarvoor f stygend is. Okay, increasing. Now the other day we said, remember you read your graph from left to right. No? And increasing means that both the x and the y values are increasing. So ek gaan gou terug na hierdie grafiek toe. As jy nou kyk, ek gaan eerder op die bord mis. As ek nou lees van links na regs, daar. Kyk gou wat gebeur met my y-waardes. What's happening to my y values? It is, hoe is dit? My y values are decreasing. Nee. And what's happening to my x values? It's increasing because I'm working from there towards the 0. Nee, so that's why x is still increasing while y is decreasing. Nee. So daai kan nie stygend wees nie, want die een raak meer en die ander een raak minder. But from the turning point towards the right, can you see that my y values are increasing as I go along? And look at my x values, also getting more and more and more as we go towards the right. So van hier af aan, it would be an increasing value because both the x and the y are increasing as we go along. Verstaan julle dit? Okay, so to say that this part would be increasing, we went from the turning point. Maar hulle vra watter waardes van x? So what's x here? X is 0. So from 0 towards the right means x must be, as ek nou, ek het geskiep terug, yes. So hier sal jy sien, x must be greater than 0. Nee. So obviously if the right hand side of that graph was an increasing function, dan gaan die linkerkant mos wees dalend. Nee. Okay, en hoe skryf ek dit? X moet wees kleiner as 0. Are you guys good? Enige vrae? Okay. Nommer 6. En daai het ons klaar gedoen. E, gee die vergelyking van die grafiek wat gevorm word as fx is gelyk aan x kwadraat minus 4, dan sê hulle moves 6 units up. So if it moves 6 units up, if we're going up, we're going to add, right? So I added 6. Okay? You don't have to write this bit. I'm only showing you guys how I got there. Only thing that you have got to write is the final answer. So daai minus 4 plus 6 gee ons vir my positive 2. Nee, are you guys good? Enige vrae? Great. Number 2. 2 said, A, sketch the graph of fx equal to minus x squared minus 3. No. Weet nie van julle nie, maar ek het eers gou vir B gaan doen. Of althans die eerste deeltjie van B, voordat ek die grafiek gaan teken. What you could see is that jou grafiek was gewees, y is gelyk aan minus x kwadraat minus 3. Okay, so that minus tells me that it's going to be sad face. Nee, okay, dan sien ek hierdie minus 3 beteken dat my draaipunt, nee, the turning point will be where it cuts through the y-axis at minus 3. So immediately I knew that. So far, you've got everything except those two coordinates. Hey, sonder om enige berekeninge te gaan doen. Maar onthou julle, ek het verlede week vir julle gesê, don't just give me a sketch with an intercept and then nothing else. Because you're going to get a mark for the straight. Met ander woorde, jy het geweet is negatief, so hy moet so wys. You get a mark for the y-intercept, and then we usually give you a mark for x-intercepts, but in this case it wasn't. But the graph is still going to count 3 marks. Nee? So dan gaan gee net vir my nog 'n koördinaat. You didn't have to give 2, even if you only gave me 1 coordinate. Nee? En dit hoef nie te wees waar x1 is nie. I just used the simplest, easiest one I could get. Nee? En hoe werk ek uit? Hoe weet ek wat daai koördinate is? You go substitute it into the equation. So the equation was minus x squared minus 3. So if I take this one, I'm saying x will be 1. So then it will be minus 1 to the power of 2, wat nog steeds my gee minus 1. And dan sê ek minus 3. So that's how I knew it would be minus 4. Okay, so these two, you don't have to give both. Just give me one more coordinate anywhere on that graph. Jou x-waarde kan 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ek gee nie om nie. Solank hy reg ingestel is. You guys good? Right, dan by B. Bereken die draaipunt. Okay, that was a fairly easy one. X is 0 and y is minus 3. Then at number 2, the maximum value. Okay, ons het gesê ons gaan kyk daar na die draaipunt, né? So that will have to be minus 3. Then at number 3, the domain and the range. Onthou jou x-waardes, né? Ons weet nie waar hierdie grafiek stop nie. So x se element van reële getalle, or it goes from negative infinity up until positive infinity. Then the range must be from that point down. Met ander woorde, y moet wees kleiner as en gelyk aan minus 3. Or if you didn't like writing it in that form, you could have said y is an element of negative infinity up until minus 3. And have a look. Block bracket, né? Want hy mag gelyk wees aan minus 3. Oppas. If you switch those two around, it's going to be wrong. Onthou, jy lees van links na regs. Nee? Okay, so the smallest value would have been the negative infinity down here. Up until the minus 3. Okay. Goed. Number 4, axis of symmetry. Die symmetrie as gaan weer wees my y-as. Met ander woorde, x is equal to 0. Now, because this is a negative graph, gaan jy sien my stygend en dalend is bietjie anders. Kyk gou weer. Gaan nou kyk na die vragies. If I read it from left to right. Kyk gou hier, wat gebeur met my y-waardes? Hulle raak meer. Nee. En wat gebeur met my x-waardes? Hulle raak ook meer. Do you guys see that? So this part of the graph will be an increasing function. Nee. So stygende grafiek. Nee, daai. Skus. X moet wees, dis mos hierdie deel. And that's where x is 0. And towards the left means that x will be less than 0. Is julle by met daai? Okay. If I go towards that side, what's happening here with my x values? They're increasing. Maar wat gebeur met my y-waardes? Hulle raak minder. Nee. Okay, so that would be decreasing function. Dis 'n dalende grafiek daar. Met ander woorde, x is groter as 0. Vir dit om 'n dalende grafiek te wees. Sien nou almal by met dit? Wie verstaan nie daai stukkie lekker nie? Is julle reg? Goed. Kan ek maar skip? Right, daar's die laaste stukkie. Merk gou vir my. You were supposed to draw these graphs. A up until D. Wat's fout julle tweekies? Kyk gou. Gaan ek nou vra of daar vragies is? Okay, wat ek gehoor, is daar enige vrae by A? As ek in jou pad, Logan? Ag nee, nie Logan nie, Alex. Nee, is jy reg. Okay, any questions at B? Remember B, kyk gou-gou hier. You could also, that 4 minus x squared is actually the same as minus x squared plus 4. Nee. Okay, dis eintlik die formaat wat ons wil hê. En dan kan jy sien is 'n negatiewe grafiek. Nee, and it cuts my y-axis at a positive 4. Right. So I don't know if you guys maybe want to add that, but if you saw it immediately and you're comfortable, then it's not necessary. Okay, so any questions at C? By C, weer eens, you will see that I added 2 more coordinates there. You only had to add 1. Okay, as long as I had 1 more coordinate, I would be fine. But you've got to always show intercepts. Okay, as dit enigstens deur die x of die y afsny, moet jy vir my wys waar. Okay, that's a definite mark. Okay. Right, any questions at D? Is julle reg? Okay. Goed, dan is ons nog gou by die laaste stukkie van die parabool. We now have to determine the equation of a parabola. So far, I've been giving you the equation and you guys had to draw it. Nee? Nou gaan ons so 'n bietjie omswaai. Ek gee vir jou die prentjie en jy moet vir my sê wat is die vergelyking. Okay. Now, can I skip? Anyone still copying? Hands up. Great. Okay, so when we've got to determine the equation, we've got 2 steps. Step 1 is substitute in that y-intercept or the turning point. Onthou daai twee goed is mos een en dieselfde, né? Jou y-afsnit en jou draaipunt is presies dieselfde ding. Dan, as ek dit klaar gedoen het, stap 2. Gaan stel dan vir my 'n punt in wat op daai grafiek is. Okay? And remember, I have said this before, I'm just repeating again, especially with geometry and in this case functions, nee, al jou grafieke, elke liewe dingetjie wat vir jou gegee is op daai skets, is daar vir 'n doel. Ons gee dit nie vir somme net nie. You're definitely going to use it. So if there's something that you haven't used yet, that's your clue. Dis waar jy moet gaan soek. Okay. Goed, so, die algemene formule vir 'n parabool, is mos y is gelyk aan ax kwadraat plus q. Nee, okay, so let's start with step 1, the y-intercept, the turning point, jou draaipunt. Watter deel van my vergelyking stel daai punt voor? Hierdie plus q. Do you guys agree? Okay, so if I go look at the sketch given, that's going to be my first thing. Instead of q, I'm going to say y is equal to ax squared. Maar nou gaan ek nie meer q nie. Kyk gou daar. Hy sny my y as by 3. And it's a positive 3. So I'm going to say plus 3. Nee. Is julle nog reg? Okay, done. Step 2 says, go substitute in a point. So there was one other thing given on this graph. That coordinate. Okay. So I'm going to substitute in that coordinate. And another way that you could also be reminded of that is, if you look at the equation so far, how many unknowns have I got? I've got x, y, and a. So as ek net vir a en b kan gaan instel, dan bly daar net een onbekende oor. Then I've only got one unknown left, the a. So I can then therefore solve a. Okay, so let's go substitute that in. En onthou mense, wys asseblief my, hoorie, om hemelsnaam onthou, ek merk hoeveel van julle sinne, en elkeen van julle dink anders. So wys vir my, okay, hierso, dit, juffrou, ja, list. 2, 7, dubbelpunt. Met ander woorde, daai gaan ek nou gou instel. Dan weet ek ook wat jy besig is om te doen. Nee, want party skryf my redelik balie. Okay. Right, so instead of y, I'm going to say 7 equal to a, en onthou, omdat daar kwadraat is, and you were taught this in grade 8, when you substitute in, keep it in brackets, nee? So, 2 kwadraat. In this case, it would not have mattered, but as soon as that's a negative number, sê nou maar dit was minus 2, dan gaan daai kwadraat dit 'n positief maak, nee. So if you did not put it in brackets, you would get a totally different answer. Okay, en dan plus 3. So jy gaan dan met ander woorde hê 4a plus 3. So 4a is dit gelyk aan 4 because I took that 4 over. So a will be 1. Nee, is julle reg daar? I didn't explain every single step there. Are you guys fine with that? Okay. Nou het ek vir A. Moet asseblief nie daar stop nie. Jy moet dit vir my in jou vergelyking gaan skryf. So you've got to end with, therefore, y is equal to. En ons het nou uitgewerk A is mos 1, né? So in this case, you could have written 1x squared, of jy kon net gesê het x kwadraat. Is julle reg? So your equation would be 1x squared and then plus 3. Or if you want, you could have just said x squared plus 3. Is julle reg daar? Any questions? Good. Skryf gou af. Ek het nog, ek dink 2 of 3, kan nie onthou nie. 2 of 3 voorbeelde. Okay, gaan op die skryf nog. Great. Okay, kyk gou hier enetjie. So I'm giving you the sketch, en dan moet jy nou net weer vir my gaan uitwerk gou. Okay, so stap 1, we said we substitute in that y-intercept. So jy gaan begin deur vir my te sê, y is gelyk aan ax kwadraat, en dan my keywaarde is mos 25. Is julle fine met dit? You guys good? Okay, now, step 2 we said, substitute in a coordinate. Nee? Okay, nou hier het ek 2. Hier het ek minus 5 en 5. So in this case, you could have chosen either one of the two. Nee, ek gaan sommer hierdie enetjie gebruik waar x 5 is en y is mos 0. Nee. Okay, ek gaan nou vir jou nog 'n metode wys waar ons ook daai kan gebruik. Okay, so I'm showing that I'm going to substitute in that value. Goed, so y is 0 en dan a 5 kwadraat plus 25, wat beteken dat 0 is gelyk aan 25a plus 25. So, excuse, 25a is equal to minus 25. So a will be minus 1. Right. So, my vergelyking gaan dan wees, y is equal to minus 1x squared plus 25. Goed, nou wil ek net gou vir jou sê, please always go back and check. My coefficient here was a negative 1. Go back to your sketch. Gaan kyk net gou weer na jou skets. Is dit 'n negatiewe grafiek? Ja. Nee. Just go double check if it's the same thing, want anders weet jy mos jy het ergens verkeerd gaan werk. Okay. Good. Skryf gou, dan kan ons aangaan. Aisha, skryf jy? Huh? Nee, ek sien dit. Excuse?
No, it is, ma'am. This is last week.
Is reg. Is die blinde sambok. Ja. Hoekom is die antwoord minus? 1. Okay, kyk gou eintlik wat ek gedoen het, nê? Is ek het daai na die ander kant toe gevat. Maar jy kon gesê het minus 25a is gelyk aan positief 25 en dan gaan hy nog steeds vir jou gee minus 1. Okay. Enige ander vrae? Is jy alright? Kom ons al 24 minute. Kan ek skiep? Dan op die skryf nog. Great. Ek wil gou net sien. Okay, dis die laaste voorbeeldjie. Okay, nou, kyk gou hier. The very first step was use the y-intercept. Maar nou kyk gou hier. Nou skroef ek jou. Daar is jy y-afsnit. Nee? All I give you is a coordinate and then the x-intercepts. Nou, daar's nog 'n ek het nou nie een van die pakkies naby my nie. Het ons vir julle nog 'n formule gegee vir parabol? Kyk gou op die pakkie wat ek vir julle uitgedeel het. Was daar 3 formate. Dit was a x kwadraat plus q of dit was gewees y is gelyk aan a en dan x minus x1. Is dit op die pakkie? Kan jy onthou nie? Ja, is dit nie daarop nie? Okay, so op daai pakkie, lig gou op Aisha. Man, jy weet ek noem al so van wanneer af. Okay, kyk gou daar. Maybe just add this one. Dus kom ek hierdie een spesifiek doen want jy gaan hom nodig hê by die huiswerk. Another form of the parabola equation, nee? Jy kan sê y is gelyk aan a en dan x minus x1 x minus x2. Now when do we use that equation? We use that one when we have the x-intercepts and no turning point. Nee, x-afsnitte. Is nou baie lelik geskryf. Okay, so jy sal nou sien, in this example, I've got the x-intercepts, but no y-intercept. Nee. So, wat hierdie x1 en x2 is basically my x-intercepts. Okay, dis kom met x1 en x2 want daar is mos 2 afsnitte. Okay, so let's go and substitute in. So you're going to say y is equal to a, en ek weet nog nie wat a is nie, so ek hou hom so. So I'm going to substitute in my x-intercepts. So x minus, en nou, hier is x minus 2. Nee, so important, we keep that minus 2. Alright, then x minus, and what's my second intercept? A normal 2. Is julle reg daar? You guys fine with that so far? Okay, so it's actually then x plus 2, x minus 2, want ek kan mos nie daai 2 minusse langs mekaar hê, nee? Okay, now again, look at how many unknowns I have here. I've got x and y and a. Wat het ek nog nie gebruik op daai grafiek nie? Die koördinaat, nee. So obviously moet ek hom gaan gebruik, want as ek daai x en daai y waarde gaan instel, bly net a oor. Do you guys get that? Okay, so let's go substitute in 1 and 6, meaning 6 is equal to a, en dan is dit mos nou 1 plus 2 en 1 minus 2. 3 minus 1, so 6 is gelyk aan minus 3a. So a will be minus 2, nee? Is julle reg? Okay, so my final answer will then be y is equal to minus 2x squared. En nou, weet ekie wat my y afsnit is nie, nee? So, ek gaan nou net gou, ek hoop jy het nou daar geskryf nie. So, sover het ek y is gelyk aan a. Ag, nie a nie, ek het mos nou a se waarde. A was minus 2. En dan x plus 2. X minus 2. Nee? En dan by my y afsnit, at my y-intercept, how much is x? No. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to say y is equal to minus 2. And then instead of x, I'm going to say 0 plus 2 and 0 minus 2. Ek gaan net gou eers hierdie uitvee dat ek daar vir jou kan klaar verduidelik. Lekker skryf. Met ander woorde, daar is minus 2 maal 2 maal minus 2. So y is hoeveel? Y gaan wees 8. Nee. So nou dat ek weet wat 8 is, dan kan ek gaan sê y is equal to minus 2x to the power of 2 plus 8. So is 'n bietjie langer ene, né? Verstaan julle almal dit? Huh? Are you guys good? Is julle seker? Okay. Goed. Ek gaan nou weer terugskiep dat jy lekker rustig kan afskryf. Your homework is going to be, I'm just scared the bell's going to ring just now. Your homework is going to be exercise 11. That's on page 150. Jy moet my doen van A tot by F. Daai 6 sketse. They're giving you the sketch. You must tell me what the equation is. You don't have to go and redraw the sketch. Just show me your calculations, né? So vir daai 6 goedjies gaan kry jy vir my jou vergelyking. Then I handed out a page now. Tomorrow I'll post a video explaining the homework, né? So jy gaan môre by die huis merk, maar jy doen eers jou werk en dan merk jy, nie andersom. Né? Anders gaan jy sukkel na die tyd. So you watch the video and mark your homework. Then I'm going to do a quick example of what you need to know for that page. Jy sal sien op daai bladsy. Is dit gemeng? So far we've done straight line and then we did parabola. So now I'm giving you an example of mixed together, those two. Okay? So dan gaan jy daai huiswerk, daai bladsy, is dan môre huiswerk, which we will be marking on Wednesday. All right. You guys good? Right. Ek skiep gou, het almal klaar huiswerk afgeskryf, dan gaan ek gou terug vir die wat nog wil klaar skryf. Okay. So there's that page for you to finish copying.